Hey Raindrops, now before we get into this video, I want to talk to you about joining my community. Yes, my YouTube community of subscribers. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. It helps build the channel and build our community. I love it when you guys comment and post. So remember, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel.
Letitia. Finally, finally, we have our
I
face-to-face.
know.
I've been waiting on this, Letitia. First of all, thank you for making time for us today. As a day one, founding cast member of Love and Marriage Huntsville, what you have to say is important to this conversation. And so we've
Ooh.
been really looking forward to speaking with you and just kind of catching up on all things Tisha. So how are you today, Letitia?
Well, thank you. I'm super excited. I'm happy to talk to you as well to
Yeah.
see, what how this conversation is gonna flow. I'm always nervous when I do interviews because, I don't like them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but with this new life we have here, I have to get used to it. It is really me stepping out of my comfort zone. That's why I have my fans, they ask me all the time, Tisha, why you don't do a lot of interviews? I'm like, listen, it's just not
Yeah,
my cup of tea. So my
yeah,
husband's the talker, as people can see
yeah.
from watching the show. I'm usually the one in the background doing all the work, but I'm the quiet one. So,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to be here with you today.
Well, I'm glad, and I want you to understand that this is also like a safe space, right? This is not
Mm-hmm.
the conversations that I have with the dynamic cast from Love and Marriage Huntsville and all the Love and Marriage shows in general. These aren't hit pieces or
Mm-hmm.
takedown pieces or a gotcha interview. I would like to just give you the floor to kind of give context and give your take on what's been going on the show. So I definitely want you to know this is a safe space and this is not one of those interviews. We want to talk to Tisha. And
Okay,
so,
cool. I'm with
yeah,
it.
yes. So first of all, just as someone who was one of the anchors of this show, right? The
Hmm.
core six is what we called you guys for so long. You've been in this for a minute, right?
Yeah.
What is different today about filming Love and Marriage Huntsville or your experience filming it versus when we were first introduced to you, your beautiful family? How have because we've seen a change or a shift in Tisha personally, but what has your
Hmm.
experience been like? What's different now as opposed to when you first started?
Woo, Lord. Okay, so if you would have asked me right now to do a reality TV show, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna do it. So at first, we was excited about it because you have the six of us. We were friends at that time.
Yeah.
We was hanging out, having a good time. We did like to be around each other at that particular time, 7 years ago. My husband and I, we was doing real estate. So we was like, hey, y'all want to follow us doing real estate? Okay, let's go. Let's see what this is gonna be about. So you can see season one, episode one, you saw like the fun side of us. You could just put a camera up and we just go
Hmm.
and it's still sort of kind of like that now. I think we're getting back to that now, but it was more so of we just didn't have any expectations. We was like, hey, let's do this and see what it's about. Let's have a good time doing it. So,
Yeah, and I could tell that, and I think that's one of the things that endear viewers to you all show in the first place because it was natural and organic, and you could tell that these
mhm.
were real relationships. This was not a cast that was pieced together. There was a
Right,
thread that existed there, a tie, a friendship,
right.
and I love that you mentioned that you guys are getting back to that now.
Hmm.
What do you think it has taken? Because we've seen, I mean, we don't even have to go down the list, but we've seen a litany of events that really can make a pivot or a turn in friendships and relationships. How have you
Yeah.
all been able to find your way back to that sort of understanding amongst the cast at this point? Like you said, 7 years in.
Yeah. Um, okay, so we're currently filming, right?
Hmm.
So I had
Hmm.
a scene yesterday with one of my castmates, and it was one from the original six.
Hmm.
And the conversation just flowed.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I'm happy that we're able to be in his space. Like, we may still throw a little bit of shade,
Yeah.
but it's like not below the belt shade. It was like the sneaky underhand stuff that some of the people was doing that caused us to really like Like, we're done. Like, you're doing sneaky stuff, like try, like that's
Mhm.
not okay. Like, let's just let stuff unfold. And I think that now when you see some of the conversations, you're like, oh, okay, I can see it is just like a flowing conversation. They don't mind
Yeah.
being in a room with one another. It's not like I'm like, oh God, I don't want to film with her. No, I ain't gonna do it. I don't want to do it. So now it's just like, okay, girl, let's sit down, let's talk. What we gonna talk about? We can be cordial. The friend name is like off the table. We was like, we don't have to be friends. We can sit down in a room and just have a conversation with anybody. So I think
Yeah.
that's where the original sits. That's where our mindset is right now.
Well, we love to see it because the original six, the core six, there was a an aspirational element to seeing you guys as successful entrepreneurs building your businesses right in front of our faces. We
Right.
saw the realities of long-term marriages and the ebbs and flows of those relationships. We saw a marriage dissolve. We saw all these things done. And so I love that you all can find that common ground to just exist, coexist
Right,
peacefully,
right. That's
and
exactly what it is.
I think it's
And I
very
wish
important.
that because when you talk about like the from season one when we first started, for
Yeah.
me and my story, like it's been a transition. Like when I first started, I was strictly a full-time stay-at-home mom. And
Yep.
I'm like, I want to get back, I want to go get my real estate license. I want to learn more about the real estate side of the business. And then I went to, not only did I get my real estate license, I became a broker. I went back to school, got a master's in real estate development.
Yeah.
And it's like you see these steps, that I've taken throughout the course of this show. Then you saw that we renovated a plaza, a retail
Hmm.
plaza, because being in commercial real estate, looking like me and my husband, we don't have anybody to show us the blueprint to that. So we was like, hey, while you in school, we're gonna purchase this plaza and we're gonna learn along the way. So of course we've made mistakes because we don't know. We
Hmm.
don't know this side of the business. So I hate that the TV didn't show more of that because that
Hmm.
was the real stuff that we really wanted to show you guys, like working together as a couple, trying to balance the whole marriage, the family, and business. Now you see that we just built our first residential home and they've been recording it. Ashley Marshall is at the scene right now recording there. So hopefully
Wow.
you guys will get to see that. So you see the growth and the transition from wanting to say this is what I want to do to actually seeing me do it.
Yeah.
So
And we love that. I think your story, the evolution of Tisha, right? And let's dig a little bit deeper into that. I think that is something remarkable to document on television because
mhm.
there are so many women who find themselves at the station of life that you were at, a full-time mom, and then have a desire for something more outside of the home. Talk to me a little bit, Tisha, about what influenced you to kind of make that pivot that, like, I want to do more than the already full-time job of managing your family. You have three beautiful children, a loving husband. So you're managing all that. You're running the house, but you wanted to
Yeah.
step out and do even more. And like you said, you pursued, you continued your education and pursued certain milestones. And we saw you do that. Talk to us, Letitia, about what motivated that. Was it because of you? Did did participating on the show have any influence on your decision to pursue those other things?
So growing up, I've always had the desire. I don't know where it came from, but I always wanted to
Hmm.
do more, wanted to make good decisions. I'm a girl. I grew up. My parents got pregnant with me. My parents got pregnant with me when they was in high school. So my
Hmm.
mom was 16, my dad was 17.
Hmm.
So I pretty much grew up with my mom and my aunties because I was the oldest grandchild or the oldest niece around. We grew up in
Hmm.
the projects in the south side of Bessemer, Alabama.
Hmm.
So I didn't have financially didn't have a lot growing up, but I had a lot of love,
Hmm.
within our household. And my mom, she did what she could do. So we always
Hmm.
had a lot. Like I wasn't lacking, but it was still like that environment. I'm like, it got to be something more to life. And I remember that my mom used to always have these inspections in her house. And so the guy would just knock one time and come in. I hated that because I always felt like, this is not a safe place for me.
It's
Some
an
of them just come in because,
intrusion. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we live in public housing. So, they could do that at that
Hmm.
time. And so I always had a desire to just want to do better and be better. And I didn't know what it looked like. I just was always like, I want to be wealthy. I want to be wealthy. So when Marcel and I got together, it was my senior year in college.
Mhm.
I graduated and moved to California, had an internship in California. Marcel ended up coming home one weekend. I was coming to Alabama one weekend for his fraternity brother's wedding. He proposed to me. And so I remember having this conversation with my auntie. I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do because I want to chase my career, but I like him a lot and he proposed to me. And so I was like, I don't know what to do. And my auntie was like, when you find true love, you have to chase that. Like your career will
Yeah,
always come. But she's like, true
yeah,
love is hard to find. And so I was like, okay, so move back to Huntsville, start planning my wedding. And the major things that happen to females in your life, like for me, happened back to back. I graduated college, got married, had my first child. All these
yeah,
things happened back to back for me. And so I didn't know. I'm young. I've never lived on my own before. So now I have this husband, I have this son, and I'm like, I want to be involved in my child's life. So I was like, you know what? I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And
yeah,
Marcel's like, okay, babe, whatever you want to do, we gonna, what I'm saying, we gonna make it work. But then I stayed at home with my son for 1 year. I had all my aunties and uncles like, you didn't go to school to get your education to, depend on a man. You need to make sure you're secure, and if anything was to happen, make sure you're good. And so that always was in the back of my mind. And so
hmm,
I've always been like, okay, no matter what, I need to make sure if anything was to happen, I'm going to be good. And then
hmm,
I didn't want to be one of those moms who my whole life was just around my kids. If
hmm,
once your kids get older, they don't need you as much. Like right now, my kids don't need me as much. They're not as
hmm.
hands on as they used to be. So I always was like, okay, make sure you study, you get your education, you continue to work and build yourself because the world is changing, and you don't want to be left behind. So
Yeah,
that's
for
always been my
sure.
mindset, just to make sure I'm always growing, learning, and developing because you never know when you're going to need those skills.
You don't, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's something that's very, I think it's key for women who
Mhm.
find themselves at that station in life. You have to have a foundation and you have to have something for yourself. And so the kids are doing great. Everybody's doing their thing right now.
Yes. Like, yeah,
Okay.
we literally just took a road trip and dropped my son off to the University of Michigan because he was
Wow.
accepted into their scholars engineering program.
That's
So, and
incredible.
that's, yeah, and that's his top school. And of course, I'm like, MJ, why you want to go to Michigan? It's so cold there. But, that's one of his top schools. So you have seen, when we started filming, my son was, I want to say 9.
Hmm.
9. So now he's 17 and he graduates next
Wow.
year. All of the boys, matter of fact, the Scott boys, my son, Marie's son, they both graduate next year for class of 2025. So
Wow.
we're preparing for college now, taking the ACT, we're going to visit school. So, I hope the show can show some of that because that is important to showcase in the Black families. We're
For
pushing for
sure.
scholarships. So you have these kids, they're doing some great things, and we're just so proud and grateful for the kids that God blessed us with.
Absolutely. I'm from Michigan originally, so I'm very
Oh.
familiar with Go Blue. Okay. And I absolutely think that it is remarkable for your son to already be on that track, going to a Big Ten school for engineering like that. That is incredible. So
Mhm.
congratulations to him. Family, right? Family has always
Yes.
been a big, I think when we kind of zoom out and look at your contribution to the show, you and your husband's contribution, it's centered around
Mhm.
family, raising
Yep.
your children. Your husband's brother is a part of the cast. We see a lot of family elements. What was your experience like when we started to see a little bit more of your family, your mom, your cousin Keke? How did you enjoy filming with your family and bringing them into this? Because this was kind of like your thing, you know what I mean? This was
Yeah.
a very special moment in time and something that was unique to you. And so when you included, talk to me about the decision to like include your family and kind of expand the lens into Tisha's world. What was that moment like for you?
I was happy that my mom could be a part of this. Of
Hmm.
course, I didn't like the direction she was taking with, coming from my husband.
Yeah.
But I was like, it brought joy to me just to see us, this family from the south side of Bessemer, Alabama in the projects. My grandmother had 9 kids. So to see that we was on Oprah Winfrey Network, like I used to watch
Yes.
Oprah with my grandmother growing up. So
Yes.
it was like a aha moment for me.
Yeah.
And super grateful, super proud of it. My mom, what you see is what you get. I have my mom, she's herself. I have
Yeah.
pulled her to the side plenty of times, like, Mom, think about the history of me and Marcel. We was married for 9 years, 8 years before the show got picked up. I was like,
Yeah.
think about that. Have you ever ran across any of these issues before? But now on TV, she's coming at him so hard. So it did put like I had to protect myself a little bit because I didn't
Hmm.
like that. I didn't like the fighting and all of that
Hmm.
that it caused between her and Marcel in their relationship. They had a rocky relationship, and still now it's still kind of rocky. It's not
Okay.
back like it used to be. So
Hmm.
that within itself was, sad. And when it comes to my cousin, it was so weird because when we first got heard that we was going to get this show, when the show first was picked up, of
Yeah.
course, Keke and I was close. She was like a sister to me. I don't have any sisters. I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger brothers.
Hmm.
So she was like a sister to me. And I was excited to share the news with her. And I remember when I shared the news with her, she kind of got upset with me later on because she wanted to bring some type of trip to the producers. And I'm like, girl, let me get in first. Once I'm in, I'm going to bring you along. Like, I don't even know these
Yeah.
producers. Let me get in first, and then I'm going to bring you along. And when the opportunity came, I brought her in, like, for
Yeah.
my Hey Brown Girl event because she said she always wanted to be like a speaker. So for
Hmm.
like my Hey Brown Girl event, I was like, I want you to come and get on stage with me, share this with me. So I wanted to bring her along, but I guess the way I was doing it wasn't fast enough for her. And
Okay.
so she came about in a shady way. And
Hmm.
that was extremely hurtful for me. But
Yeah.
still, I'm like, okay, girl, let's squash it out. We could talk about it on the show. Our relationship is not where it used to be, but you're on the show now. So, let's film the real. If we can get back to where we used to be, if we can get to a better place, then let's just showcase that. So, and you guys
Yeah.
see how it went down.
I know that had to be hurtful. I'm a person who I love my family and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very loyal when it comes to relationships, friendships, things like that. And so watching these shows, these ensemble cast reality shows, especially when family members are involved, it pulls out our heartstrings a little bit because if you've ever had a disconnect from someone you were once close to, when you watch that go down in front of your face, you can't help but feel something. How did
Oh
you
yeah.
manage the how did you manage your emotions because you are on camera and essentially you're working, you're performing a function, right? And
Yeah.
again, this was kind of like your baby. How did you manage wearing those two hats, right? Like being Letitia, the television personality, as well as dealing with some real shit. Like, this is my blood cousin. We are literally being adversarial towards one another because of something hurtful that she did. How did you manage that, Letitia?
No, I was hurt. I was hurt.
Yeah.
I let Keke know I was hurt on camera, off camera. When we had our boxing match we had our scene at the boxing ring. I'm like,
Hmm.
listen, stop doing this. Don't do this. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. And so I thought it was done. And then once I found out she was doing again shady stuff behind my back with the bloggers, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I've given you enough chances. I can't do this anymore. And of course, I don't want to fight my cousin on
Yeah.
TV. Our daughters, they're 12, they're best friends. They
Hmm.
talk on the phone every day. Her daughter still calls me auntie. It was
Hmm.
moments on the show when she was filming, dogging me out. Her daughter was on vacation with me and my family. Like I have plenty of
Wow.
pictures of her kids on vacation with me and my family. So
Hmm.
I was hurt about that. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do this no more. So when we had that picnic, I mean the barbecue that we had at Kimmy's house, and when she threw the drink on me,
Yeah.
I that's the most embarrassing moment for me on TV, period.
Okay.
That's at the top right there. Because I'm like, not only are you on this show disrespecting me, disrespecting my husband, disrespecting my marriage, and then you're gonna throw a drink on me. Like that was the
Yeah.
low of the low. And after that, and I have not spoken to her since then. And I do not want to talk to her. I was like, I'm done. This relationship is dead to me.
That was going to be my next question for you is what the status of your relationship with Keke is like today. Has she tried to reach out to you and offer any sort of resolve or apology or anything, Tisha?
She have not tried to reach out to me. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, she has her truth of what she feels like, I've done to her. And I'm like, what have I done to you? I said it in the scene. We was at the kickbox. I'm like, Keke, tell me, what is it I did? Like, because you keep
Mm-hmm.
saying I said something, and I thought we moved past that years ago, but yet and still you're bringing it up now. So it has to be something deeper that's going
Mm-hmm.
on. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason, she wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, I had to be okay with knowing that I did nothing to this girl. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, we had our moments, but at the end of the day, she know that I was a great friend to her, a great cousin to her, and to her kids. So I live with knowing as long as you know you did right by a person, you can't determine their reaction or how they feel about you. That's up to them and their God. And when she look in the mirror every day, she know the truth and I know the truth. So she has to deal with that, whatever it is that she's feeling about me.
Sometimes you just have to leave things right there.
Let it go. Yep.
I love that you all are still able to maintain the relationship amongst your daughters. They're cousins and they're
Yes.
still best friends. So I think that that's beautiful, and hopefully that's some sort of semblance of resolve at the end of whatever the situation is, because you guys are family, and as
Yeah.
viewers, ultimately we want to see the resolve, especially when you're talking
Yeah.
about family. So
And
hopefully
we'll
some
see.
way, yeah, hopefully some way you
Yeah.
guys find your way back there.
And I would never interfere with the girls. And
Yeah.
her dad is like, I only have three uncles on my mom's side of the family. So her
Hmm.
dad is the oldest. So he's one of my favorite uncles. Like our
Yeah.
family, our love is very tight. I love my aunts and uncles and my cousins. My grandmother has 32 grandkids. Like I have 32
Wow.
first cousins. So it's a lot
Wow.
of us. It's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so, I still a family function. We'll speak, keep it moving. There's no hate. I don't hate her. I'm always gonna
Yeah.
love her. She's my family. But sometimes you have to remove yourself from family members. That means no good.
What is how are you and Miss Wanda? Miss Wanda, one of a kind, right? How are you and Miss Wanda doing today? You guys are pretty good.
That's my mom, no matter
Yeah.
what. That's my mom.
Yeah.
I'm her only daughter. Me and my mom talk every single day. We've always been that way. We talk every day. I could disagree with her. I let her know, but I'm never going to disrespect my mom.
Yeah.
I call her out. Marcel feels like I don't, I'm not, you know what? I'm not gonna say what he feels, but some people tend to say that I don't hold my mom foot to the fire.
Hmm.
And I am the type of person is that I'll tell you how I feel. And if you can still continue to move the way you move, then that's on you. You can't say that Tisha didn't tell me this or Tisha didn't tell me she feels this way. Like I've been very open with my mom. Don't do this, don't do that. But she's
Yeah.
a grown woman. She's gonna do what she want to do.
What do you have to say to the people? Because there's a conversation, right, surrounding your mom
Mm-hmm.
on the show and her engagement with some of your other cast members and that kind of impacting your relationships with the cast. What do you have to say about that piece where maybe some interactions between your mom and other cast members does that affect, does your mom's engagement with your other cast members affect your relationship with the cast, and if so,
Oh
how do you
yeah.
handle that, Tisha?
It absolutely affects the relationship with the cast because for my mom feels like I don't speak up enough, or
Okay.
she don't like the way I speak up, so she feels like she wants to speak up for me, and I'm like, I don't need you to speak up for me. I handle situations the way I handle situations, and especially with the cast members because I have the relationship with them, so I know how to handle each and last one of them.
Yeah.
But for some reason, my mom, she has her platform. She wants to
Yeah.
get on there and say things and say what she wouldn't do and voice her opinion about, the cast members. And I don't agree with it. I told her
Hmm.
plenty of times, let me handle my group of people the way I handle them. I don't need for you to step in. But she steps in and because she feels like nobody else have your back. So if nobody else got your back, I'm always gonna have your back no matter what. And I can respect that as a mother love for
Yeah.
me. But I have kids too, and you have to allow your kids to handle their situation on their own. Just be there for them in their corner if they need you, but allow them to go out there and figure it out.
Yeah.
So it did cause like some issues with me and some of my castmates, but
Hmm.
they mom get into it too. They mom got
Hmm.
stuff to say too. So
Hmm.
everybody's mom is involved in it. It ain't just
Yeah.
mine. So
How
they
do you
have to
feel about that?
understand where she's coming from.
Do you think that because a lot of people feel as if there needs to be a boundary, right, that exists
Right.
between the parents' participation in the minutia of the show and
Mm-hmm.
the actual cast members? How do you feel about that boundary? Do you think the line kind of gets blurred as how do you think that line kind of gets blurred? Because obviously this is your mom, and we Black people, we have
Right.
an unwavering respect for our parents and other people's parents. So it's
Mm-hmm.
only certain ways that we will engage, you know what I mean, with somebody's mama or daddy.
Right.
How do you feel about that line kind of getting blurred through the participation of parents in the show?
I think we have to have a respect for the mothers, period. Like,
Hmm.
me and Van, we've had words, but I
Hmm.
wouldn't go so low, because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, she's someone's mom and she's
Hmm.
an elder. And so I will always have a certain level of respect for the mothers on the show.
For sure.
I do think we have to have boundaries, but it's just like where do they stop? Because every mom is going to protect their child by
Hmm.
any means necessary. They gonna take a bullet for their child. So
Hmm.
it's like we can say, "Mom, don't do this," but at the end of the day, they gonna step up for their child. So I
Yeah.
feel like Kingdom Reign need to have like a mother's show. The mothers of Love and Marriage
Look.
Huntsville. And them ratings right now would be off the chain. Like they would need to have to give them their own show, let them have
Yeah.
their show to spin off the moms of Love and Marriage Huntsville and
Yep.
let them fight it out amongst themselves.
I think that's a very brilliant idea, Letitia. And guess what? I'd watch it. Um,
Yeah.
for real. So now, outside of the family, like amongst the core six, right? The
Mm-hmm.
relationships. We talked a little bit about that earlier and about how you guys have been able to find your way back to some sort of like harmony amongst the cast.
Mm-hmm.
You've spoken before on the show about how maybe like some of the fans, and we do know that this show has a very, very passionate fan base, right? The people that watch the
Yes.
show really attach themselves to the relatable and dynamic stories that you guys present on the cast, right? Um, I think that we see a little bit of ourselves in all of you, and so it endears us and kind of connects us to this story. But the fans can be very, very passionate in their commentary and in their existence around this show.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned on the show previously that Melody's fans in general have been of note when it came to the way that they engage with the show. Talk to me about that because I think that on the show we kind of just hear you guys bring it up, but we didn't really
Mm-hmm.
get it down to what actually takes place. So like what types of things would you like to see changed from the fans of the show as they watch and enjoy the show throughout the season, that will give you a different experience with the fans? What do you want to see change?
Yeah, I think that if the fans want to have a good show, they want to be
Hmm.
entertained.
Yes.
And you can't entertain people or give them a good show when they're coming for our livelihood, our businesses outside of the TV show. When you
Hmm.
have people popping up at your lounge and popping up at your warehouse and taking pictures and just making it like, why are we doing this to one another?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we should all want to see each other succeed and use this platform and do something great that would change the generations to come after us.
Yes.
So I think it would be great if they would just watch the
Hmm.
show, have your favorite. Everybody's going to have their favorites on the show. That's fine. And keep it strictly about what you see on the show and what's on the show. Stop trying to do background checks and all this evil stuff. Like, where is coming from? I mean, I've watched reality TV since Real Housewives of Atlanta, and
Yeah.
never ever have I tried to call one of the cast members and say, hey girl, I didn't like your hair and cuss them out. You know, I didn't like the
Right,
shoes you
right.
had on. Like I get emails. Marcel did a live the other day showing the home that we're building, and our business numbers is on there. I've been getting so many calls, cussing me out, calling me everything. I'm like, why? Like, what do y'all want from this? I mean, like at the end of the day, what is it you want? I was like, I did not realize it was so many evil people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pure evil. That's all I can think of. Like, if you're purposely calling someone, saying the worst things that you can possibly say and think of to them, like, that's just evil. And it's
Yeah.
like, stop it. Stop.
Yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be a separation of just watching the show and being entertained in it and being entertained by
Yes.
it, excuse me, as opposed to, as you said, stalking, going after different things, going up to different locations and just kind of overstepping as a viewer. I think there does need to be a very
Right.
clear line there as it takes place. And I noticed you mentioned going up to someone's warehouse because we know on this past episode, Stormi mentioned that someone had came to her warehouse and now she was facing a warrant for
Mhm.
having a bit of a incident when they were there. You said that people have come up to they've come up to Black to your cigar lounge before and
Yes. So the
really.
cigar lounge, we've been in this hotel up the street here. They have come there, and you know, our employees like we're about to call the police because you can't be out here working on a site that we're building on. You get a hard hat on you, like if you hurt
Yeah,
yourself,
it's
we're liable
dangerous.
for that. Yeah, so it's like, why are we doing that? It's just it's bananas to me. It's crazy. Like, watch the show. The group, especially, I can speak for the originals. Like,
Hmm.
we're like a great group of people. We
Hmm.
work hard. We play hard. We're smart. Most of us, we all went to college. You know, we're fraternities, sororities. You're gonna get it all. You're gonna get, you know, we can talk in a boardroom, or we can get down and dirty with on the spade, you know, game.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna get it
yeah,
all. We have that. And so if you just pay attention, and then on top of that, you're getting real issues that we're having within our marriage. Like Marcel and I had a scene yesterday, and we talked about something that was real and wrong.
hmm
That we're celebrating 18 years coming up. You know,
hmm
and no matter what the narrative is that people try to put out about us and our marriage, it is a real marriage. We have struggled to make sure we stay married, to make sure we provide the life for our kids. You know,
yeah,
we didn't have anybody handing us anything. Me and Marcel had to get it. You know, we struggled together. We've been building this business and the legacy that we're trying to leave for our kids, like together. It's been tough,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we still pulling up our boots, you know, getting it done. Like, so it's just so much to learn. I wish I would have had someone that I could have seen on TV when I was growing up to
yes,
inspire me, you know,
yeah,
to be like that. If they can do it, I can do it. That's all it's supposed to be about.
yeah,
If Marcel can be a commercial general contractor, I can do that too. If he can build these hotels, dang, he look like me. I could do it too. If Tisha can
yeah,
go from the project of Bessemer, Alabama to where she's at today, being a developer, like we can do that too. And even and the best is yet to come. So it's like
yeah,
stay tuned. Like we want to build, we want to develop communities. Like we want to give away
hmm
homes to single moms. Like we want to do
hmm
some great things. It's like, man, stop sidetracking us with the mess and let's stay on the
yeah.
purpose.
I think that so the entrepreneurial component, right? I think that that is so it just it's just motivational to witness, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I love that on this show we have several entrepreneurs who are successful in their own right, doing their thing in
Mm-hmm.
business. And originally I thought as a viewer that that would be something that would kind of connect you specifically with Stormi, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
she was a successful entrepreneur. You were as well. You are as well. And we've seen a little bit of a disconnect recently, especially on the reunion last season between you and Stormi. What
Mm-hmm.
was the pivot for you, Letitia, that made the relationship kind of go that direction?
Um, okay. So for me, it
Hmm.
all starts back to where the whole website situation came up. And I'm like,
Okay.
listen, I'm in real estate. I don't know nothing about this industry, the hair care industry. That was a new industry for me. I
Mm-hmm.
hired out a lot of things. And, the developer that did my website, he made a mistake. It is what it is. And I'm like, I'm not going to call him out because he is a Black business owner. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to, let that ride. And so when Stormi and I had that discussion face to face, it's like, girl, I ain't standing there. It is what it is. It was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. But then when behind my back, she was like, oh, she's trying to do this and I'm going to sue her. So my thing was, I felt like I wasn't getting the same person in my face that I was getting behind my back. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
started saying, oh, you're fake and phony. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, it's fake and phony to me because if you have a problem with it, listen, say it up front. I have a problem with it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And if she was to say that, like, don't be like, oh, it's all good, brush it off when it's really a big issue to you because you're
Mm-hmm.
making it a big issue. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, we talked about it and I was like, I apologize. It was, the website design. I didn't make my own website. I didn't do that. I was like, but I took ownership of it because me and my team, we should have taught these things. And it's like the same verbiage on Main Choice, like a lot of the other big time hair products companies, the
Mm-hmm.
same verbiage is on all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, my bad. It was a mistake. It is what it is. So that was my thing with her. Like, don't tell me one thing and then go behind my back and talk to the other cast members and
Mm-hmm.
trying to dog me out and making a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Has
with
there
the whole
been
thing, I'm sorry,
go
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 ahead.
ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Tisha. Go
Oh
ahead.
no!
Finish
And
your
then
thought.
when the
Yeah.
thing came around about with my husband and the Black Business Expo, and
Mm-hmm.
then just seeing how disrespectful and down in the gutter she was about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out that my cousin Keke was doing some shady stuff behind my back, and Stormi was involved with it too.
Really?
So yes, yes. So by the time the reunion came, you guys saw, oh, Tisha's on 10 because I found out all of this stuff, especially the situation she was doing with the blogger and with my cousin Keke and with this other dude. He got recordings coming out with Stormi name all in the middle of it. I'm like, these people shady. I trust them. So that's where that energy came from.
Okay. And so what are things like today with you and Stormi?
We're cordial. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
think. Oh, okay. So we have some scenes coming up. You guys will get a chance to see. We have a girls trip coming up,
Okay.
and it was cool. We had a good time. But I don't talk to her outside of us having a scene together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So it just kind of is what it is at this point.
yep, it is what it is. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. And if it's something more, you guys will get a chance to see it because it's gonna develop on TV.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, you said this season that this was a new Tisha. You weren't having it basically this season. You were, when something needed to be addressed, you were going to address it and kind of just
Mhm.
meet it head on. How are you enjoying that approach, filming the
You
show?
know, it's no way to say new teacher because I feel like I have been addressing things. Like if you go back to
Mm-hmm.
season one, whenever I had a problem with anybody in season one, I let them know. We had our moments.
Mm-hmm.
At Galentine's, I told them what it was. So it's just now I'm catching on quicker. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, you know what? I let things sit and be like, maybe they didn't mean it like that. But now it's like as soon as you throw something at me, I'm throwing it back at you. I'm not
Yeah.
going to like let it sit. I'm not going to assume that you didn't mean what you said. Like if you're disrespectful to me, I'm gonna be what you give is what you get. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm on. And I'm trying, and that's not me because I am a really kind person and I want to just
Mm-hmm.
have a good time. Now everybody should get along and we just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like people take my kindness as a weakness and they use that against me. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah. What about your relationship with your sister-in-law Kimmy, right? We saw that
Mm-hmm.
they had a little montage this season that showed kind of your journey through friendship with Kimmy
Mm-hmm.
over the years. And it was really, I thought it was great how you guys were able to talk through the decision of whether or not to work on a project together, and you were really honest with each other. What's going on with you and Kimmy today? Are you guys good? Is everything, okay with you guys today in your communication?
Yeah, we're we're good. We're good,
Mhm.
honestly. We had a bad scene and Kimmy called me. She was the first person to call me and check up on me. So
Okay.
we're good. And we can't stay like upset with one another for a long time. Marcel
Yeah.
and Marisa literally not only brothers, they're best friends for
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So we can't let anything affect that relationship. So we're good. I like the space that we're in right now.
Okay, that's wonderful. And that, as we go around the curve of the core six, right, that brings us
Mm-hmm.
around to melody, right? And we've seen a journey. We've seen a journey
Mm-hmm.
between your friendship with Melody, and
Oh,
we've seen
wow.
you all.
Yes.
We've seen a journey. And so what I love most is that through that journey, right, with the ups and the downs, we've seen you all come back up. And I love
Yeah.
that. I love that we've seen you all be able to, that scene when you guys were at the was it like a plant shop when you were
Oh,
you,
yeah. With me, her,
Kimmy
and
and
Kimmy.
Melody?
Yeah.
Yes, refreshing. You guys were sitting there kicking it, talking, and it felt good. It felt like such a throwback to the original, the way that we were introduced to you all in the cast. Talk to
Mm-hmm.
us a little bit, Tisha, about your relationship with Melody. Are you friends with Melody? What do you see as far as like the future of your relationship with Melody? What's going on with you two right now?
So when I first got on, I was like, I had a scene with somebody yesterday, and it was a really good scene, and the conversation just flowed. It was just
Yeah.
like girlfriends talking. That was with Mel.
Yes.
So yeah, so we're able to, sit down, have good moments, do what we're supposed to do, laugh, kiki, haha, and keep it moving. Mel through the girls' trip. And so she did a great job with planning that trip. And there's something that took place on that trip, and you would
Okay.
see a conversation between me, Kimmy, and Mel that
Hmm.
really will let the viewers know, like, dang, they have really come a long way. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah.
Good. That's music to our ears because we love that harmony amongst you guys. And things
Mm-hmm.
happen, you know what I mean, in relationships. There's ups and
Yes.
downs, and relationships are going to do that. But hearing you say that you all found your way back to some sort of resolve is so great. It's music to our ears as viewers because we want to see y'all get along. You know what I mean? We don't, I think that over the years that we've been experiencing reality TV, people have really attached themselves to the moments of confrontation, right? And what
Yeah.
made those interesting back in the day was that they were rare. Shows weren't
Yeah.
built around confrontation. We couldn't believe that we were watching people have an argument and figure it out. And so we don't really want to see that. We want to see you guys having a good time. We want to see you guys on the same accord and finding peace. So that feels so good to hear that you guys have kind of found a flow at this point in the game, this many years deep in the game.
Yeah. We want that too. Like we said it was like if we have an issue, we're not gonna hold it in. We're gonna go ahead and let each other know at the time. Let's have a conversation about it. Because I do feel like any type of conflict you have, a lot of time it can just be miscommunication. And you can
Hmm.
resolve it by having to sit down and talking to one another. Hey
For
girl, you
sure.
made me feel this way. As long as that person can acknowledge your feelings, you don't even have to agree with it, but say, hey, you know what? I apologize. I made you feel that way. And we keep it moving. So I think that's what we want to see more of as well.
You think that's what Sonny should have said to Destiny when they talked?
Oh, Jesus.
But that's a
Sunny,
lot.
sunny.
Talk to me about that, Tisha, because when we saw the that conversation that Kimmy set up for you and her and Sonny to have,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty clear that you shared the same sentiment as a lot of other people who have been privy to that relationship or the origin story of their relationship. How do you feel
Yeah.
about Sonny and Moses being together, Letitia?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was very vocal about how I felt about the situation
Yeah,
because I'm a girl's girl. I have a
yeah.
lot of girlfriends, and even when me and Marcel got to get together, I went through all my friends in college. Hey, girl, have you ever tried to talk to you? And I understand we're older now, and so the pool is much smaller. But my whole
Hmm.
thing is whatever took place with Sonny and Moses, I just feel like from the very beginning, Sonny should have hit Destiny up and be like, "Hey, girl. Listen, he's trying to talk to me. How do you feel about that?" And even if Destiny would have been like, hey, I don't think you should do that. She's grown. She can do what she want to do. But at least giving her the heads up in the very beginning of things. I
Yeah.
think that would have been cool. That should have been a conversation had up front. I knew Sunny when she was the producer on the show. And like I
Hmm.
told her, you don't seem like the type of trifling female. Like I didn't get that
Hmm.
vibe from you. So I'm so surprised that you would do this.
Hmm.
And Destiny, yeah, Destiny is my girl.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, right and wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
So it was just wrong to me. I'm not just blindly taking up for Destiny because, oh, because she's my friend and Sunny is not.
Right.
No, like the situation was just not a good situation.
Yeah. I think that viewers could kind of tell that too. Your reaction or response to that was rooted from a place of a lack of integrity in what you saw.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
more than just you sticking up for your girl. We could see you had a visceral reaction to her walking into that scene. And we could tell that it was deeper, that it was a fundamental, like a foundational issue. You really felt like there was some bad decisions being made on her behalf. Um, a lot of viewers
Yeah.
feel the same way that you felt about that, Letitia, and that Sonny kind of broke the girl code in entering her relationship with Moses, and you feel like
Mm-hmm.
that as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. And everybody's well, they're married now. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like the initial conversation should have been had. Like Destiny and Sunny wasn't just producers. I've been on this show for
Yes.
7 years. I know the relationship with me and my producers. They hung out outside of the
Mm-hmm.
show. They talked outside of the show. It was, hey girl, I miss you. Hey girl, I love you. That is not the type of relationship you have with just a producer. I don't care how Sunny try to downplay it. And then the whole another thing is, it's like Sunny got so much heat for Destiny. I'm like, you're wrong. Like, why do you have all this heat for her? How is it her fault that this, took place? Of course Destiny is gonna feel some type of way. You did her dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not about you trying to discredit Destiny and tarnish her name. Like that's not okay either. Like,
Yeah.
girl, listen, I'm sorry, Destiny. I fell in love with him. Yes, I should have told you about it earlier. Yes, I should have been more open about it to you. And I'm sorry. That's it. That's all she had to say. And I'm sure Destiny would be like, you know what, girl? Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust you no more. We can't hang around each other anymore, but it is what it is. But
Yeah.
no, now is talking about Destiny and trying to dog her out. And even Moses, I saw the interview that he did with you and all the
Yeah.
stuff he had to say. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Really?
was it was a little odd. I agree. Um, Nell Fletcher.
Yeah.
We saw a very spirited conversation that you all had at her birthday party. What's up with
Mm-hmm.
you and Nell at this point, Tisha? Have you guys kind of found your way to some sort of like harmony, or are things a little bit disconnected still with you and Nell?
I don't know because we haven't had a follow-up conversation since her birthday party. Like we've been
Okay.
around each other and we've been able to be in the same room and ha 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 laugh, keep it moving. But we have not had a conversation since then. And my whole thing, I know people was like, oh, she was tipsy.
Hmm.
I feel
Yeah.
the exact like no, I said what I had to say. Like I feel the exact same way when I was in the limousine ride with the
Hmm.
Scott going to the party as I felt at the party. And I had the conversation with Nell right then and there. Like, girl, I mean, I'm sorry, not girl, it's not to be disrespectful, but you letting these fans dictate your relationship with people. And you said up front when me, Nell, Chris, and Marcel had our dinner, nobody can tell me who to be cool with. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm like, okay. But when someone called her out for hanging around,
Hmm.
she was just like, well, she did say Tisha has her own friend, which is true.
Hmm.
I'm Tisha's mentor. Like, we don't have a mentor mentee relationship. So
Hmm.
my whole thing is don't deny me, in
Yeah.
front of people. You can easily be like, listen, Tisha and I, we hung out, we had a good time. That's it. No, no, we're not friends. We're co-workers. We're getting to
Hmm.
know one another because I don't really know her like that. So we're
Hmm.
getting to know one another. When we hang out, we have a good time. That's all she had to say. You don't have to make up a whole lie and say she's my mentor. Like, no. The conversations that Nell and I have had has all been on TV. We only had
Hmm.
one conversation outside of TV where I called her to ask her how she was feeling about the reunion because it was her first time coming to the reunion. But
Hmm.
other than that, like we don't have a mentor mentee relationship. So, and that was my whole thing. I was just trying to let her know then and there. And I hate it happened at the party, but hey, the opportunity presented itself. So why not have the
Why
conversation right
not?
then and there?
Did you feel like Nell was being condescending when she didn't know when she designated herself as your mentor and you as her mentee. Is that why did it offend you, or what was it about that outside of it not being true per what you said? What was
Mm-hmm.
it about that that kind of made you have that reaction when you heard her say that she was your mentor and you were her mentee?
Yeah, it did kind of offend me because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't, if you gotta lie to be around me, then I'd rather you not even be around me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have to say, I'm gonna deny you in front of people when they ask me about hanging around you, then please don't do me no favor about hanging around me.
Yeah.
We don't have to hang around one another. So
Yeah.
yeah, it did kind of hurt my feelings. Like, dang, that's messed up because I looked at Nell and I'm Nell looks good. She's older than us. They've been married longer than us.
Mm-hmm.
So her and Chris, their marriage, their relationship is fun. They laugh, they joke, they dance around one another. So it's a good time hanging around them. So I wouldn't discredit her or talk down about her because my fan base may not like her. I'm still going to speak up for her. And I
Mm-hmm.
just expect the exact same thing. That's it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tisha, I think that I obviously there's a lot more to see this season coming.
Yes.
And I think just shout out to you guys for being dynamic and interesting this many years into a television show. I think it's remarkable. It doesn't happen often. Shows don't last this long. You guys have built an incredible, incredible product together that has legs that will live forever. People will always care about what's going on with you guys. And I think that you deserve your props for that. So congratulations on another season, Tisha. I can't wait to see things play out. And hopefully we'll get together again and recap the season and just see what your final
Yes.
thoughts were for that, right?
No, that'd
So,
be good. Thank you. And thank you guys for being, thank the
okay.
fans for watching because let me tell you, it's so much more to us. Like we have so much more to give and talk about. Like
Yes.
it's not even a dent in what all, this cast has to offer. So
Yes.
stay tuned and I think the best is yet to come.
And we love to hear that. And I think that's the perfect note for us to end our conversation on, Tisha. So thank you again for your time. And like I said, we'll get back together before the season's over with it and
Sounds
get your
good.
final thoughts on things. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you. Look, just
All
in
right.
time because now the little one coming downstairs talking to mom. So yeah, I gotta get back to
See,
mommy duties now.
perfect time.
Bye.
Thank you, Tisha.